Well, well, well. John Harbaugh went from fired to hired, just like that. I mean, John Harbaugh has literally been the hottest commodity on the coaching market since the Baltimore Ravens let him go last week. And there were quite a few teams vying for the services of one John Harbaugh. And I mean, his demands, we talked about those in another video. I mean, the demands were incredible. But nevertheless, that didn't stop the New York Giants. And so, John Harbaugh has just put the NFL and especially the NFC on notice. I believe the New York Giants are about to be good again. G Sports Nation, let's talk about it. Welcome, sports fans and sports haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of the G Sports Nation, where we preach sports. And if you like this video, don't forget at the end to please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know the next time we post another video or go live, and we will be going live soon. If you haven't become a subscriber yet, please do. We have a lot of great things coming up on the G Sports Nation. Now let's talk about it. John Harbaugh. It is no surprise, I'm pretty sure, to anybody that John Harbaugh is already hired. I mean, he was only the hottest commodity out there in the NFL world. And so, again, he was scheduled to go other places, but the New York Giants, they did exactly what I believe you should do when you want a coach. When you want that coach and you already know what the requirements are, you get him in immediately for that interview, and your goal is that you don't let him leave the building. And so it looks like John Harbaugh is about to get paid bukus of dollars. So let's read a quick article, and then we're going to go to the video on ESPN as we're going to listen to Adam Schefter and others talk about John Harbaugh's effect on the New York Giants. Let's check this out. It says over here on USA Today, winners and losers as John Harbaugh heads to the Giants as coach. The race to secure John Harbaugh's services was over not long after it officially started. It says the former Baltimore Ravens coach became this year's most hotly pursued candidate on the open market shortly after he was fired last Tuesday. By late Wednesday night, according to Art Stapleton of NorthJersey.com and The Record, part of USA Today Network, Harbaugh and the New York Giants were working to finalize a deal to make him the organization's new head coach. Wow. And I was talking about this last week. I really thought he would have been a great fit for the Cleveland Browns also. But I got a theory on why he didn't try to go to the Cleveland Browns and let alone to the AFC. It says, in filling the first of 9 head coaching vacancies this offseason, both Harbaugh and the Giants sent ripples throughout the NFL in its coaching search process, with the effects sure to be felt in the weeks and months to come. And so it says now a coach with 180 regular season wins and a Super Bowl title on his resume will be tasked with revitalizing a franchise that has stood as one of the league's doormats for nearly a decade. Here are the biggest winners and losers from the move. I only want to talk about the winners and losers for the most part. I'm not going to read the entire article, but it says the winners, of course, John Mara, Giants president and co-owner. John Harbaugh, of course. John Harbaugh gets everything pretty much that he wanted, leaving the Baltimore Ravens. Jackson Dart, I'm telling y'all right now, this is one of the best things that happened to Jackson Dart, because I was seriously concerned about Brian Daboll being the coach of one Jackson Dart. So now we got a real a coach that will actually be concerned about Jackson Dart and somebody that can truly help him develop as a professional. So I think this is good for Jackson Dart. And then, of course, there are others. And then they have the losers, the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans could have really used John Harbaugh. I also believe the Miami Dolphins could have. They said the Atlanta Falcons, losers. Kevin Stefanski, obviously he wanted to go to the New York Giants. But I think who really wanted to go was none other than Mike McCarthy. So, when you think about this in the grand scheme of things, I think there's another reason, too, why he went to the NFC and went to the New York Football Giants. I mean, let's say first and foremost, they're going to give him the money. I mean, hey, man, show me the money. So they're going to give John Harbaugh the money, and I'm pretty sure all the other things that he wants. But I also think there's another part of this. Me, I'm just petty. I would have loved to play coach for the Cleveland Browns and battle the Baltimore Ravens twice a year. That's not going to happen. But I also see where maybe John wanted to get out of the NFC period so that he could get to the NFC and he wouldn't have to see his brother as much per se, and he could get a rematch of the Super Bowl with his brother. Yeah. Maybe him and his brother could get back to the Super Bowl, because we already know that would be huge for the NFL and that would be big time TV. And also, as it applies to my beloved Cowboys, I mean, now he's in the NFC East, and it can be argued that he's the best coach in the NFC East, and he's probably one of the best coaches in the NFC, period. One of. But there are some good coaches over there, too. But he's putting the NFL on notice, and he is definitely putting the NFC East on notice. Let's go over here and listen to Adam Schefter and just see how all of this developed. Let's check it out.
They sold the organization as hard as they could. It included meetings with owners. It included meetings with the quarterback, Jackson Dart. And really, from the moment John Harbaugh had been let go in Baltimore, the Giants prioritized him, recruited him, and went after him as hard as you possibly could. There were other teams after him as well. Tennessee, Atlanta. He was supposed to meet with Tennessee today. That meeting's not going to happen. He could have met with Atlanta later this week. That meeting's not going to happen. The meetings that will occur are with the New York Giants, where he will take over and come in with the type of credibility that Dan Reeves once brought this organization when they hired him. That's what they're looking for right now, somebody to restore the order that's been lacking with the cycle of coaches that this team has gone through over the last decade plus.
The Giants,
See, this is going to be the big thing for the New York Giants. John Harbaugh stabilizes this franchise. This franchise has been unstable for years. It's been unstable for years. It seems like every time they get a good player, they've kind of struggled at the quarterback position. I mean, it's just been a plethora of reasons why the New York Giants, in the grand scheme of things, have just been bad. And Brian Daboll was supposed to be their answer. I think they kept him a year and a half too long. So now they finally got that coach. They finally got them a coach who I believe is going to help them stabilize. He's going to be not only good for the Giants organization, he's going to be good for the team. He's going to be good for the ratings. I mean, he's going to be good for Jackson Dart. He's just going to bring a different mentality to the entire franchise. John Harbaugh is going to stabilize them in ways that are really unimaginable, and it's really going to he's going to make a mark inside of the NFC, in particular in the NFC East, where you got for the Philadelphia Eagles, Nick Sirianni. We don't know what's going on with Philadelphia. I mean, they're just in turmoil. We got Dan Quinn that, it was a up year. Now it's been a down year. But of course, he's got Jaden Daniels, but we don't know what's going to happen with Dan Quinn. I think he's been making some bad moves as far as his personnel goes. And now they need a defense coordinator. We also have in that division my beloved Dallas Cowboys, which we have the top offense in the league, but we have the worst defense in the league. So the next defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys is either going to make or break them. So John Harbaugh is going to come in and bring so much more competition to the NFC East. And so I got a strange feeling by mid-season, he'll have this team really, really going. And then by 2027, they're going to be a serious competitor.
So I do believe that something similar, yes. I do believe that the Giants are a much more talented football team than the record indicated, and it was because of some of the fourth quarter collapses with leads. I think Does Todd Monken come on as their offensive coordinator is a huge part of this conversation. It's a massive part, because if it's not Monken, then who? Who's the defensive coordinator? Joe Shane. What is Joe Shane going to be the guy that's making the picks in April? Is that relationship going to stay as it is right now with his role? So, but I think that the Giants have more talent on the roster from an individual performance perspective than their record indicates.
How many years in a row, or what is the stat on a team going from worst to first in their division, right? Every single year.
It happens every year.
That's what I mean.
There have been at least, I think, 4 or 5 new playoff teams for 36 straight years in the National Football League. And by the way, you could put down the Giants right now for being in the thick of it next year. I expect them to be competing for a playoff.
And that's what I'm saying. And this particular season, the Chicago Bears.
Now, I'm not sure. Man, I don't know. I do think he's going to make them better. I do think they'll be better. Competing for a playoff job. I mean, a playoff position. I could see wild card. Definitely could see wild card. It's definitely going to be some serious competition.
I do think for Harbaugh, looking at this situation, you look at the nucleus that they have offensively. They have, Burns on defense, Carter on defense. They have a young core to build around. And when he got to the Baltimore Ravens, that was kind of the same thing. He had a defense that he knew he could build on. He had players, young players and older players that he's like, hey, I know I can build something around this nucleus. Yeah. And I think for him, it's a fresh start, because the criticism, there have been people that's like, hey, you're coming from a team with a Hall of Fame running back, a Hall of Fame quarterback, a talented roster, and a good organization. What's going to be different? I just think it's time, and it happens. And I think the resurgence of Harbaugh in a new spot is going to give him motivation, but also it allows him to build this the way he wants from the ground floor.
One of the things that the Giants have going for them is there's probably not a division in football right now that has as many question marks, at least on January 11th or whatever it is, 12th, as the NFC East.
Yeah.
The Washington Commanders are old. They have a new offensive coordinator who I believe, David Blau, has never called plays before.
Correct.
They don't have a defensive coordinator as of now. The Dallas Cowboys don't have a defensive coordinator right now. George Pickens is a little bit of unknown, and they're completely over the cap space. The Eagles don't have an offensive coordinator right now. So there's a lot of question marks within the division with talented teams, but that's another advantage that the Giants have, is maybe as good of a chance as anybody.
Yep. Dan Orlovsky is right. Dan Orlovsky is right, man. John Harbaugh is going to have an opportunity to come in immediately and make an impact. But again, I might have a little bit of bias here, but the Cowboys, if they get a defense, they're going to be unstoppable. And I don't know what he's talking about with George Pickens and the salary cap. Cowboys are going to hit those levers inside of the contract of Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Ty Smith, Jake Ferguson, Deron Bland. Cowboys will have an excess of $100+ million under the salary cap. So it's not going to be a problem for the Cowboys to sign George Pickens. But that doesn't take away from the fact that this is a monumental move by the New York Giants, and it is sending ripples throughout the NFL, and in particular in the NFC East. But hey, y'all tell me what y'all think, G Sports Nation. What do you think about John Harbaugh going to the NFC East? How quickly do you think he'll be effective? And how soon will he be competitive? And what do you think his record is going to be in his first year? I think he's going to do well, but I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit on playoff contention. I got to see a little bit. I got to see something before I get to that point. But again, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. Sound off. Like, share, subscribe. Until the next time, thank you, G Sports Nation, where we preach sports. Peace.